Right. Welcome. Welcome to the Founder Exhale Show, where we are shattering the silence around founder mental health, one conversation at a time. I'm James Oliver Jr., co-founder of the World's Cutest Twins, husband to an amazing wife, founder of the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund, which provides free mental therapy and wellness resources for the founders, and co-author of the book Burn Bright Not Out, Shattering the Silence Around Mental Health in Tech Startups. I am thrilled to be here, and I'm so glad that you're here too. This is our second episode of the Founder Exhale podcast. On this show, we have real conversations with exited founders about what quote-unquote success actually costs and what it takes to protect your mental health along the way. I also talk with values-aligned investors and mental health leaders who are changing how the startup world treats well-being. And oh, by the way, you got to stick around to the end of the show for the dad joke. The dad joke. It's my favorite part of the show. So I want to introduce our guest, Shaler Houser. Shaler is a four-time exited founder who spent nearly 3 decades in the trenches of entrepreneurship, including Green Cloud Technologies, which became the fastest growing company in South Carolina and number 73 on the Inc. 500. Shaler is now a partner at Founderville VC, where he invests in early stage founders, and he brings to that work something most VCs don't: a deeply personal understanding of what the founder journey costs you mentally. So I got something for you. Hang on one second, Cheryl. I got a little something for you there. Welcome, Shaler.
That's a great intro, James. That's fantastic.
It's good to see you.
Yeah, that was great, man. You did good. That was awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's good to be seen and not viewed, man. I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Did you have a good 4th of July? Did you take some time off? Did you get to rest at all?
I've been spending a lot of time with the kids, so because they're on December break. We had a great weekend this past weekend. We went to Dave and Buster's, as my kids call it, David Buster's, which cracks me up. It's David Buster's.
That's funny.
We did that Friday, and then Saturday I took them to the amusement park, and we just rode the rides. Well, I watched them ride the rides, man. We had an awesome time.
Good.
So just leaning in with time with the family, man. We went glamping for like 3 or 4 days. That was super relaxing. Just the wife and I and the dog and looking at the lake. It was awesome.
Great. Good for you. That sounds fantastic. Yeah.
It was great.
I went down to the family place in Lower Alabama and got to see some cousins and just family and whatnot. It was a good time. It was pretty chill.
Mm-hmm. Nice, man. Well, look, man, I'm super excited that you're the second guest on the show. You wrote a compelling chapter in my book about your founder journey, and I'm super thankful for you and your candor around this issue. We got a lot to get to, so I really want to jump right into it, if that's okay.
Let's do it.
All right, cool, man. So your startup, NuVox, filed to go public on April 14th, 2000, which turned out to be the very day the NASDAQ hit its biggest single day crash in history. Like, walk me back to that moment, and how did that affect you? You can laugh about it now.
Yeah, I can laugh about it now. It took a number of years before I was able to even crack a smile about it. But, leading up into that we were riding the wave of the dot-com boom. And I was able to raise a couple of $100 million from both private equity and private debt to build out the telecom network that we were building throughout the Southeast United States. And that was to offer high-speed broadband networking and competitive telephony services. And we were going gangbusters. I mean, we were growing really fast, and the investment bankers were, super excited about us. And I'll never forget, leading into that sort of period, we flew to New York and we went to the offices of Cravath, Swaine and Moore, which is a law firm that specializes in sort of IPO underwriting. And at the time, our investment bankers were DLJ and CS First Boston, Tom Weisel Partners, Wachovia Securities, CIBC.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of folks that aren't around anymore at this point.
CS First Boston's not around anymore, right?
No,
it's Credit Suisse now, right?
Yeah, I mean, they ended up merging with DLJ, and that was after we did this deal. But at any rate, we were having a lot of success and building out the company and raising capital and all that. And I was young at the time. I was 29 or 30 at that point. And we went to New York. We spent 3 days in a conference room that felt like we were probably on the 50th floor of this law firm. Some huge building, in Manhattan and whatnot. Mm-hmm. And the conference room table, James, there must have been, I'm not exaggerating, 40 people at the table. And I sat at the center on one side and I talked for 3 days. And that was drafting the S1. That was us drafting the S1.
Wow.
And every investment bank, the banker was there, the associate was there. I can't remember if the analysts were there or not at this point. And then each investment bank had their own lawyer. So there were lawyers all around the table. And it was just in the management team, of course, not the full management team, but the people that were critical for writing the S1.
So S1 is a document you have to file in order to go public. Is that what the S1 is?
That's right. That's the document that ultimately gets filed with the Securities and Exchange Commission that you use to go public. And we did those drafting sessions for 3 days and drove out to Teterboro and got on our plane because this is back in the day that we were flying high. So we had a jet, right? We weren't flying commercial. And it's so arrogant to say that, but that's just what we were doing at the time.
It's what it was, man.
It's just what it was.
Yeah.
And we flew straight from there to Hilton Head, South Carolina. Literally did not stop in Greenville, went straight to Hilton Head and went, at the time, it was the MCI Heritage Classic. So it was the golf tournament the week after Augusta. And got down there and
Augusta being the Masters.
The Masters, right. And the S1 was scheduled. This must have been like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I can't remember what, but we essentially, the day we got down was the 13th, going off memory a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then April 14th was the day we filed. And I'll never forget, we went out that night and we partied and had a huge time and we were celebrating and whatnot. Not that it was anything really to celebrate, but it felt like a momentous occasion and moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And woke up the next morning, immediately turned on CNBC, and the market was cratering. It was absolutely cratering.
Oh,
and my
God.
partner in the business goes, "Shay, what does this mean?" And I said, "Russell, it'll probably bounce back. It'll probably bounce back, but this is definitely not good news. This is not," because the market was so shaky even going into those couple of weeks in that month. It had been really, really bouncing all over the place. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know. And at the time, I couldn't process, like, we're not going to get public. That wasn't even registering. It was more, we're going to get delayed, we're going to get pushed off, but everything's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. So just not a good way to wake up that morning, especially after partying all night, right? We were, like I said, flying high and then waking up pretty low that next morning.
So how did that affect you? Like when you saw the market tanking, like how did you feel?
I think I was in denial, honestly, at that time. I mean, I was denying what was taking place. And I remember thinking to myself, like, this can't happen to us. Like, we're so special, right? It can't happen to us. And I'm unique. And like, how can this happen to our group of people and our unique team? And, like we're any different from anybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hard to process, man. I mean, it was just a lot to take in and put a downer on the rest of the weekend for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I bet that's putting it mildly. So the company eventually sold for $625 million, but you and the other original founders walked away with nothing.
Yeah.
Is what you wrote in
that's
in
right.
my book. And you were forced out of your own company at 29, 30 years old. You wrote that this shattered your identity, and what the heck? Like, how did that feel? Like, can you talk about that?
I think, well, so after we couldn't get public, we were burning $4 million a month. We had to raise additional capital. We ended up merging our company with a peer that was building out a similar network in the Midwest United States who had just raised $200 million from Goldman Sachs. So they had plenty of cash. We were much further ahead in terms of building out the network and revenue generation and scaling the company. So the merger ended up being, if I remember correctly, a 52-48 deal, us getting 48%. And, I felt like, okay, we're sort of saved, like we're in good shape. This was November of 2000 at that point. And I felt like we were in stable position because we had that much cash. Well, the board told us to continue to grow. And lo and behold, 18 months later, we needed additional cash. And that's when the board facilitated a recapitalization of the company, which if a founder ever hears the word recapitalize, it ain't good news. That's nothing but bad news. That means you're going to have a really bad day. And we got recapitalized at that board meeting via a 1-for-100 reverse stock split. So I can't remember if I put this in the book or not, James, but I had 2.7 million shares of stock. And at the time we filed for the IPO, the price talk was $12 to $14 per share. Yeah. And after they did the 1-for-100, I had 27,000 shares at $1. So and I was spending like a drunken sailor. And that was the time when investment banks, you could get loans, you could borrow against your holdings. It were just, I was in a horrible, horrible financial shape, as was my co-founders. We all were. We found ourselves in a total jam. And I basically threw my hands up and said, I can't work with folks like this. I can't work with a group that's just going to wipe out founders. And I pitched a fit, and that was the last of my days there.
Wow, man. Whew. Yeah, those numbers you just tossed out. I was just letting that roll around in my head, and you went from 2.7 million shares to 27,000, because you said it was 1-to-100, so they divided that by 100, basically, right?
That's right. That's right.
$1 a piece, and it's not like you could, if you wanted to get to the $27,000, you couldn't, because it wasn't publicly traded. It was not liquid. It's tied up in the stock.
Man,
there probably were no secondary markets back then.
No, there was no such thing as a secondary market. And I'd put a lot of money. Virtually everything I had into that company. I wrote the business plan. I wrote the very first check. I hired the first people, and did all that without raising venture capital initially. It was just, we funded it. Me and my family funded it.
Oh, man.
So we lost a lot at that time.
Yeah. Okay.
Financially and emotionally.
I bet. So before I ask you about this next moment, I want to acknowledge something you wrote about in the book. You've been super open about your struggle with addiction during your founder journey. And it's within that context that I want to ask this next question. Your mom's cancer diagnosis is what pushed you through the doors of rehab, you wrote. You made her a promise and kept it for 4.5 years. Then she passed away, and 6 weeks later, you relapsed. Mm-hmm. So, that is an incredibly human moment. What do you want founders to understand about that part of your journey?
Well, I think, the main thing is, and anybody who's walked through the rooms of AA or any other type of treatment or anything else, it's one day at a time, right? It's a daily struggle. It's a daily process. You can't let up. There's always going to be things that hit you in the face, and, you may or may not be prepped for it, but regardless, for somebody like me, the initial reaction is like, I'm going to reach for something that's going to soothe me. I need to soothe my body, my brain. Mm-hmm. And, over the years that became alcohol, right? That was the solution for me. And as we got recapped, that's when my addiction really spiraled. That's when my alcoholism.
When you say recap, when they recapitalized and crammed you all the way down.
Yep. Crammed us all. That's when things really started to get bad for me. And even as I did my next company and sort of got back on my feet, I was ignoring the fact that I was falling apart mentally and emotionally, and certainly spiritually. I had no connection whatsoever. Everything revolved around the weekends and how I could check out of work and check into fun. And fun for me equaled alcohol, like whether on the golf course or on the water or in my restaurant or whatever. That's what fun equaled, is I'm going to be drinking. So, a month turned into a year, and a year turned into a decade, and a decade turned into 2. And all of a sudden it's like, full-blown alcoholism, full-blown addiction, and a whole host of bad experiences that created a lot of, sort of trauma, some that created meaningful trauma, and others that created, as they say, sort of little t trauma, that I had to ultimately work through before I was going to get healthy again.
Wow. Oh, man. Well, this was not a question I was going to ask you, but how did you, get healthy again?
Multiple times through treatment. Multiple. Right. The first time I went, I was sober for 4.5 years, as I mentioned, and, and then had a relapse after my mom passed away. And I did exactly what I was supposed to do, and went back into AA and did 90 meetings in 90 days and did all the right stuff. But something wasn't clicking. Something was not working with me, and I couldn't put a finger on it. I was at a stage where that time in treatment didn't really fix the issue. I didn't address, I don't think, the underlying issues that were really causing all the anxiety, the underlying feeling of something's wrong with me. I'm broken. I'm not good. And it took spinning out a couple more times, right? I had to spin out a few more times, and I had to go get help again and again. And I found myself in a treatment facility for 3 months, and that really, really helped me. I got to deal with a lot of stuff that I needed. But man, that's scary. It took me losing a job and basically losing everything again to get through those doors. And at that point, it's like, I've got nothing left. So I might as well go all in on getting better and getting well.
So the 3 months of treatment, that was super helpful for you then, sounds like.
That was super helpful. And out of that came YouTurn Health, which is, the only company I've started that it's the one I'm really proud of, right? Because it's still around, and we're doing really good work for a lot of people.
What is that?
YouTurn Health is it's an online education platform. We have about 400 videos that are therapist-led video content focused on addiction. But what we did, James, is instead of focusing on the individual that was struggling, we focused really on the family. We focused on the loved ones. And the purpose was our firm belief that if we could help educate the family and the loved ones so that it better understood what was going on with their loved one that was struggling, they'd be better capable of taking care of themselves and maintaining calm while supporting the loved one through their recovery journey. And it's a journey. It's not like a get, quit, fix scheme, right? I mean, it's a journey. So we built that out, and today we serve a lot of different sheriff organizations, jails, prisons. We serve a lot of corporations, and it's a beautiful company that I love.
And that's the thing you said you're most proud of that you've done.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no question about it. Because we're making we're making a difference. That's like making a real difference.
Yeah, that's so amazing. Oh my God. Well, thank you for sharing that part of your story there. So I'm going to take a quick break and come right back with a few more questions on the other side. Stand by, okay? When my first startup failed, my mental health also failed. That experience is why I created the Kabila Founder Mental Health Fund, which pays for therapy and connects founders to wellness resources. Because building a startup shouldn't cost you your well-being. Founders are silently struggling every day, and you can change that. Donations keep the fund running and the grants flowing. You can also support the mission by getting the book, Burn Bright, Not Out. 90% of the proceeds go right back to the fund. To be a donor or get the book, visit thefounderexhale.com/founder mental health. Be well, y'all. All right, and we're back. All right, Shaler, I'm here with Shaler Houser. Shaler, so you're now a VC with Founderville.
Yes.
How does everything you've been through as a founder shape the way you show up for the founders you invest in when it comes to their mental wellness?
I think I have a lot of empathy.
You think?
There's just a lot of empathy and a lot of, I get emotionally engaged with these founders in a way that's probably very different from VCs. I care about them. I care about all of them, these founders. And, I just have a firm understanding of the struggle that they go through day in and day out, the ups and the downs, and what it can lead to. And whether it's founders that are, they're struggling with the same stuff I struggled with, whether it's eating, whether it's gaming, sex, working out, whatever, the action doesn't matter. But clearly, if you're building a startup, chances are you're going to struggle mentally in some way, emotionally in some way. It's just how well you can adapt to it. Some of us do better than others, and some of us may never really act out. But there's a lot of us as founders that are going to act out in ways that we wish we probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm listening to you talk about that. And, you are one of the few VCs I know who you understand the pain of it because you live the pain of it. And, how do I say this without offending anyone, not you, but other people, but I guess I don't really care. Well, I do kind of, but I think writ large investors are not really it's not to say they don't care, right? It's just, I don't think that they're willing to spend their time, money, or attention to address founder wellness. Like, what do you think about that?
I think that in the institutional VC environment, that clearly the goal is to make money, period, end of story. Like that's the overarching theme. And I think probably the struggle maybe for a lot of the professionals in the institution, in the institutional investment community is, even if they have struggled with this stuff in the past, or even if they currently do, they may not want to admit it. They may not want anybody to know.
So the stigma, you think the stigma is driving the apathy?
Absolutely. I think the stigma drives a ton of the apathy. I think that
I never thought about that, man.
If you're an associate or a vice president at Name the Big Fund and you're trying to get promoted and succeed, I don't think this is any different from any major multinational corporation. What you're probably not going to come in and do is tell your boss that you're drinking too much. You're probably not going to tell them that you're taking Adderall every day, right? No. I mean, it's just they don't want to hear it. They don't want to know about it. As long as you can function, that's good. So the last thing I think, and this is just my opinion, I think the last thing that vice president at the brand name VC fund is going to do is talk to their portfolio CEOs about his struggles, or have discussions about those struggles with those founders, because they don't want to talk about it. If they haven't addressed the issue, then why do they want to talk about it? So yeah, I think that's a major issue. I don't think it's no different than in the corporate world. We saw that with YouTurn Health, in that, we would go into companies to sell the company on our platform and our service as a supplement to the company's employee assistance program. And the idea was, we're going to give you a confidential way to deal with addiction inside of the workplace. Okay. You know what they would say? We don't have a problem with addiction in the workplace.
The employers said that?
The employers would say that. I'd say, well, here's the data.
Well, how do you know?
The data is 48% of America has a loved one that has struggled with addiction in the last 12 months. 48%. And there's all sorts of self-reported data that indicate 24 to 25% of the workforce at any given time is struggling. Moreover, if I'm an employee and my 17-year-old daughter hasn't been home for 2 days because she's strung out, guess what? That impacts me at work. I'm not fully present. I'm definitely not fully productive, right? So we would have these discussions, and what I learned over time was human resources and the CFO, they didn't want to talk about this stuff. It made them uncomfortable. It was just completely uncomfortable to discuss in a work environment. So they didn't want to deal with it. So I had to totally pivot that company into risk mitigation, into employee training around risk mitigation, around drugs and alcohol in the workplace before we started getting customers. That was a total pivot. But yeah, I firmly believe that the stigma is such that it makes it to where people just don't want to talk about it.
Across the spectrum.
Across the spectrum, including
HR,
VC.
CFO, everybody's got their heads in the sand. You said something there right at the end about risk mitigation. And, honestly, this is how I'm thinking about framing it for investors. I think focus on founder mental wellness is a portfolio risk mitigation strategy.
It is. It absolutely is. There's no doubt about it. I think the other thing it does is it opens the door to build exceptional trust between the investor and the founder. If the investor is going to provide resources to the founder specifically to address well-being issues, whatever those well-being issues might be, that creates trust. That's a bond. That's telling me you're thinking about me. Thank you. This is not just my dollar and give me a return on the investment. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
And I think that can create a bond, one in which could open the door for a lot more healthy discussion between the investor and the founder. So
there are a few VC firms with programming around this. So I know Lisa Mickelson from Flourish Ventures, they do that out. I think they're out of San Fran. But I'm actually talking with Lisa this week. She was on a panel that I did with the National Venture Capital Association. Had a bunch of investors on there, trying to inspire other investors, VCs, to focus on this. I'm hoping I'm going to have Lisa on the show to talk about the specific programming that they have over at Flourish Ventures for their co-founders. And if anybody out there listening knows Alexis Ohanian, I would love to have him come on the show and talk about this, because they actually allocate capital when they write a check. They allocate, I believe, this non-dilutive capital for founder wellness alongside their investment. That's amazing, right?
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's amazing. So Alexis is the kind of person who could really, when he talks, people listen. If you're out there listening, if you know him, if you could please share this episode with him, that would be great. Okay, so I got one final question for you. Shaler, so what would you say to a founder who is sitting alone right now, managing stress or pain with alcohol or substances, and hasn't told anyone and just doesn't even know what to do, or doesn't even know that they have a problem?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's about awareness, right? It's about self-awareness and understanding where you are, and to thy own self be true, right? Being honest with yourself. And if you think you're in trouble, if you think you're struggling, then ask for help. There's so many resources available, but making that first phone call, taking that first step, and I know from experience, it is hard. And what I would wish on founders that are struggling is don't take the path I did. Don't get pushed into it the hard way. Make the decision yourself and get help. Don't burn it all the way down, because on multiple occasions I burned it all the way down.
When you say it, what was it?
My life.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. Golly. Well, God bless you, Shaler, man. You've clearly built it back up.
Yeah, I'm in a good spot. I feel good. I'm doing the things that I like to do. I don't run a big fund, and well,
you're raising your second fund, right?
I'm working to raise my second fund right now. I sure am. And I have some commitments. I'm getting some capital,
of course you are.
So it'll be another small fund, but it's going to allow me to do the things I love to do, which is work with founders, invest in founders, help them out, and use my 30 years of experience building B2B software companies to help them. I mean, that's it. Like, I'm not the smartest guy in the room, but I do have some experience to do this stuff.
Yeah, you don't need to be the smartest guy in the room, and experience is super, super, super important.
Yeah. All
right, man. So I'm going to transition here to my favorite part of the show, if I may.
Okay.
The dad jokes.
Dad jokes. I love it.
So just so you know, I don't know if you listened to the first episode that I did with Grant. I told him, I said, we judge these jokes on the show. When I say we, I mean me. And then I have 13-year-old boy-girl twins.
Right.
And I play it for them, and they judge. Like, I gave Grant a rim shot, and my daughter was shaking her head like, no. She was mad that I gave him a rim shot on the joke. Like, they didn't like the joke. I'm like,
That's
come on,
funny.
guys. You guys are way too hard, man. So I'm gonna give you a little drum roll here. And at the end of your joke, you either get a rim shot or the sad trombone, man. So,
I'm expecting the sad trombone.
Let's hear it.
It's super corny. Remember, so like the Doritos commercials, and it was nacho cheese.
Yeah.
Okay. So my kids, every once in a while, they'll say something that walks into me going, it's nacho cheese. It's nacho cheese. Yeah. So I'll say that to them, and I say it all the time, and it drives them absolutely bat crazy that I do that. So it's not a complete joke. It's just, it's nacho cheese. It's so funny.
So I actually know this joke. I can't remember the exact content, but I know the joke's funny. So I'm going to go and give you the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you.
And give you a rim shot. And my daughter's going to be looking at me like, no,
what
Dad.
Is he talking about?
No, Dad, where's the joke? So can I tell you a joke? I got a joke my daughter told me. I'm going to tell you a joke. So this is from my daughter. So what do you call an alligator in a vest?
I have no idea.
An investigator.
That's awesome.
Yes. That's a
That
good one,
one's
right?
fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. Yes, thank you.
I'll use that one on the kids and see how they react. They'll like
Oh
it.
my God.
They
All
gave
right.
me a dad joke book for Christmas one time
Yeah.
because all the dumb jokes and dumb comments I would make to them. So they finally gave me a dad joke book a while back.
Nice.
I don't know where it is, but yeah, I have one.
My
somewhere.
daughter writes them down. She has like a little book and she writes down dad jokes in her book.
That's funny.
Fantastic.
I love it.
All right, man. Well, thanks for visiting so much with us today, Shaler, and for inspiring founders to prioritize their mental wellness. What's the best way for people to connect with you? Is it LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn, Shaler Houser, and I'm on Twitter as Shaler Houser. And then if you want to learn about YouTurn Health, it's just YouTurnHealth.com.
How do you spell that? Y-O-U or
Y-O-U-T-U-R-N, YouTurn Health.
Okay, cool. So I'll put your LinkedIn, Twitter, and I'll put YouTurn Health in the show notes. All right, cool, man. Well, this has been great. So I'm going to roll this outro music. Yeah, I appreciate you so much. Hold on a second. I forgot I got to give you, before I let you go, I got to say thank you for joining us, right?
It's good to be here.
I clap you in and then clap you out, bro. And we're going to roll this outro music and get on out of here. And so look, if you're listening, we know you like the show because you're still listening, right? So please subscribe, follow, and rate it. Please visit thefounderexhale.com and let me know what you think about the show by leaving a voicemail or via the contact form. And please make a donation to support the work we're doing at the Kapila Founder Mental Health Fund to pay for mental therapy for founders by visiting KapilaMentalHealth.com. So far, we've getting about 90 mental therapy grants and counting. Link to learn more and donate will be in the show notes in the comments. Will be in the show notes, sorry. And thank you, Shaler, for being a continuous supporter of the Founder, a monthly donor to the Founder Mental Health Fund too. We'll see you next time, and we'll see y'all later. Be well, y'all. Later.